All right.
First question.
Dr. G.
Dr. G, here we go.
Yeah.
Me and Sheed in the building. Hit me.
Humanitytraining.org.
All right.
So let's just start off, man. What's the purpose of it? What is the end result? What are you looking for your end users that come to the site? What are you looking to accomplish, or the purpose for humanitytraining.org?
In the broadest sense, on an international term, an international, we're looking at it in the big term, and I kind of feel like humanity training can end racism all over the globe. So that's the biggest window, biggest umbrella. That's really what I want to say. The biggest umbrella that humanity training can fall under. The reaches, the tentacles can spread into, it's a worldwide thing, and they can end racism everywhere, because we understand that racism is a contractual position. In every country where the people are divided into categories, they open themselves up to be discriminated against through the categories. And so when we understand how discrimination works, then we're going to start to adjust and to fight the mechanisms that create the separate, the separate categories, the separate feeling, the division between people, between humanity. If humanity training goes as I would like, then we will start to see each other's humanity before color, humanity before religion, humanity before style. And so I really want to supplant the things that we see first when we see each other.
Humanity over everything.
Humanity over race, HOR. We feel like that's like a branch from ONOC. One nation, one category. Humanity over race. Humanity over religion, still HOR. Right? We want humanity over nationhood, nationality. What nation I represent. We want to be able to see humanity first. And we now understand that there's a lot of things that have to be redefined. Humanity, and our definition, is to be able to see yourself in somebody else. That's what really being a human is.
Right.
If I can see something opposite or not me when I look at you, then I have missed your humanity. Okay? Racism, we got to change what racism means, because racism isn't what you say about a different person. Racism actually is when you teach your kid that you are black, or you teach your kid that you white, or that you teach your kid that you any label that's different from somebody else that gives them the reason to differentiate or to not see somebody's humanity first. See, because if I can see your humanity first, then I can almost, religion becomes something different. This is what I say. At first, say we got different religions, right? And so that's a classic divide of man, right? You this religion, I'm this one, so we different fundamentally.
My God different.
Yeah, we yes. Now I can die feeling like I'm different than you because you got a different religion, right? Now humanity says you my brother first. So your different religion is just you being a vegetarian and I eat meat. See, first you my brother. Then you do something different than me. Culture, right? You got to do something different. Culture is what you do. And so humanity, if humanity over race, humanity over religion, first I got to see your humanity. Then I have to recognize that even if I don't like what you do, I only like what you do, not you, because you my brother. I see your humanity. And so this whole black and white game that we play in this country, and we all like to call ourselves not racist. All of us are racist and complicit to racism. All of us are. And we gotta start playing that game that another group is, and that we ain't. No, we go and teach our kids that they black, fill out black, put black on everything, on all their forms, and then be mad when the system who was made to put them last does that, and then we want to scream racism when we the biggest racists out here. We don't understand that we contribute to white supremacy. We are like the bartender, right? We like the bartender who poured a shot. Because when we keep calling ourselves black, we give them the opportunity to be white. Right? The system is set up so that they get the benefit of the doubt always. And then when we give them whiteness, now they start to believe it is some ordained position that God is looking out for them even better. When people are just manipulating the categories, but the feeling of feeling like you always got the earth is yours almost, because at home you get the right away that everything all in your favor. You never on the bottom, and so you feel like you treat the world like that. Well, who taught them that? Who was pouring the shot? Blacks. See, slavery caused the identity crisis in us, and so they took advantage of the fact that we didn't know what our identity was. The trick started when they could convince us that we different than them. Now I can use my laws.
So a good point to that is you feel that this whole idealism of race and racism started in America.
America is the birthplace of it. There may have been people to have theorized on something like this before, but nobody put it to use. And it's probably hard to put in use against people who know who they are. But in this special situation from slavery, the people that I done branded and I done controlled their education for a little while, and now they literally have no connection to the past, I can now pull this race thing on them because they have no idea who they are. Got them. That is the key.
Hook, line, sinker.
Is the fact that your conditions made it sweet for this to be pulled over your head. And now because all you ever known is your blackness, is that your skin is dark, and they just say it in so many different ways, Negro color, but you know you dark, then you accept all the labels, and you think that your actions define black, and they don't. The law has defined 42 USC, United States Code.
So what would you say? Throughout time, I feel that it seems like we're increasingly more and more segregated in terms of today. You got your Black Lives Matter movement and these different kind of sects that again just kind of contribute to the whole categorization, division of us. So what would you say to if you could speak to the leader of this whole Black Lives Matter movement? What are some of the things you would say?
As I was just saying that, as people who call themselves black, we think that our actions define blackness. Now let's just take a pause and think about that for a second. I'm arguing that our actions don't define who we are. But that's the only way we've ever seen the world, is that what we do define who we are. Well, in this particular situation here, you call yourself a label that you didn't create. And because you didn't create it, you can't define it. And so now they define it, and they sneakily define what black means. And this is a label that you didn't make, but you accepted. And so the whole trick now is that if you keep calling yourself this label that I created, then I can keep the control over you. I can't name my neighbor's kid, but I can name mine because I have the power over my kid. And so when you call yourself black, somebody owns that label. Somebody controls that label. Somebody has the power over that label, and someone can define it. And so this whole breakthrough happened when we started to understand what the legal definition was for this race. A legal definition? Huh?
I think that's a very significant factor, because I think that most people just don't even know those definitions exist. Just like you said, it kind of goes back to, we think that this thing called race is inherent, and when you really get exposed to the definitions and the labels that the system has put on you, then it definitely gives you a whole different mindset on this whole concept of race and racism. know.
This country teaches you that all men are created equal. Guess what? True. That's not a lie. They recognize that. They just recognize that you can enslave yourself through contract now. Maybe we can't force you no more. But through contract, you can enslave yourself. Go ahead.
I think that's a good segue because I heard you talking about the contracts. I mean, just kind of explain a little bit about that, about the voluntary contract.
This country works on contract now. Contract law is probably the most important law in America because when you have an obligation, when you have an obligation, it has to be through contract. If you have to pay a cable bill, it's only because your obligation was created through contract. If you got a car note, a mortgage, those are all obligations. But every obligation that you have is through contract. Now, see, black is an obligation in this country because the obligation for black is to occupy the lowest class. That's what the purpose of black is for. And so, any people that we can get to call themselves black, your purpose is to operate the bottom caste, the bottom class, the bottom race in this country. And so there's an obligation to black. It's servitude to United States of America. And so the whites could always have the privilege. That's what it means. We didn't know that though. We keep thinking that our actions dictate black and they don't. This is a defined reason for what blackness means in America. It means perpetual low status. And it's voluntary because we are supposedly in a more civilized society, right? The civilization now is about, guess what? We got to trick you into this slavery now. We got to refine it and we got to trick you. And so that is our civilization now, that we just not brutes about it. That we're going to have some civility, as they say. And so
And that's
the voluntary,
interesting.
you talk about the voluntariness of it. And because it's a contract, nobody make you sign. So when you wasn't born black. People don't understand that they weren't born black. That is so foreign term to them that I'm not born black. But the fact of the matter is you actually were not born black. You were black through contract. And so if you don't want to occupy the contractual low status that America has defined for black, then stop putting it on everything. What's that commercial? I put that shit on everything. I wanted some barbecue sauce or something.